Everyone, welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about two games that I have been playing recently. One of them was kind of gifted to me by Square Enix, and the other one is actually another Square Enix game, but that one was not. I was not given a code to buy them. That was one that I bought on my own. So those two games are going to be Romancing Saga 2 and Final Fantasy Tactics. So let's get into it. Okay, so first off, I'm going to be talking about Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven. Now, this game actually did come out last year for all other platforms, so PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. And I did actually play the PC version quite a bit last year. But once I saw that the Xbox version was coming out, I decided, no, I wanted to see how it would run on my Xbox Series S, since I've had this Series S for a few months now, and I kind of just wanted to check out some games on it. And Square Enix was kind enough to provide me with a code. So thank you so much to Square Enix for that, and I really appreciate that. Now, for those of you who haven't played Romancing Saga 2, the remake, just to give a very brief overview of the game and what it is. So essentially, as you might have already guessed, given the publisher that it's coming from, this is a JRPG. The original version of this game came out originally on the Super Famicom back in the 90s, and then again last year Square Enix did a fairly substantial remake that did change quite a few things. One of those things that they did change was that in the beginning of the game they added in quite a bit more story than was in the original version. So the game kind of starts off with a much more heavy story focus, where you are playing as a character named Gerard, who's essentially a prince of the Kingdom of Avalon. And shortly in between the game, kind of trouble ensues, where he essentially has to become emperor due to the previous heroes of legend in the world, called the legendary seven heroes, start attacking his kingdom and wreaking havoc. So with that, how the main systems go about is that Gerard essentially inherits all of his abilities of his late father, Leon, and from there he's able to essentially fight back against the seven, and try and save his kingdom from them. Now, the one interesting thing about this game is that you're not only really playing as Gerard, you are playing as other people in his bloodline as the game progresses. So as you're progressing, you're playing as different emperors and empresses throughout the entirety of the game. And then by the end of the game, you're going to be playing as the one final emperor to fight the final hero at the very end. So essentially, the game is pretty much you learning different abilities with each character, passing it on to the next monarch, and then from there you're going after the final villain with all the abilities that you learned with the final monarch to essentially save the kingdom. Now, other than that, the main thing that I kind of really wanted to talk about is essentially how this game runs on the Xbox Series S, because that's the main version I played for a bit. And while the game does run quite well on the Series S, I was kind of expecting a bit more. The main thing that I was really hoping that the game would kind of have a bit more with was essentially in terms of the performance. Now, the game does run at fairly locked 60 FPS, but I was kind of expecting a little bit more in that department, considering what I saw in the PC version. Where on this one, I was kind of expecting that the game would run at least at 1440p or even 4K, but it looks like for the performance mode, the game only runs at 1080p, which I was kind of expecting more, because on weaker hardware such as the Steam Deck, which I also did play this game on for a PC version, you're able to run the game at its max resolution of 800p at 60 FPS, no problem. And I believe if you have the Steam Deck OLED, or even other PC handhelds like the Z2 Go, or not the Z2 Go, sorry, the Legion Go S that has the Z2 Go processor in it, which is equivalent to the Steam Deck's processor, you're able to run it at 1080p or above 60 FPS. So I was kind of expecting a bit more there. So I was a little disappointed to see that the game just ran at only 60 FPS at 1080p locked. So that was a bit disappointing to see. Other than that, this version does run quite well, and if the Xbox Series X and S are the only versions of the game, or the only consoles rather that you have, then this version is a good version to check out if that's all you have. But if you do have other consoles or even a PC, then I probably recommend to get those versions over this version. Other than the performance, again, the gameplay is fairly similar. So like I said before, it is a more of a traditional JRPG where you are going through with a turn-based battles, kind of going through and leveling up abilities, kind of similar to how it was in Final Fantasy II, if you guys have played that. So the main way that you level up your abilities is by essentially using specific attacks. So the more they get hit, the more it grows your HP. If you're using more magic, then you learn more magic-based attacks. So, for example, if you're using fire spells, you learn more fire attacks. Water spells will allow you to get more water attacks, and etc., etc. So that's pretty much how the progression system goes into this one. And yeah, other than everything that I said in regards to the performance, again, if the Xbox series of platforms is the only version that you have, it is a good version, but I wouldn't really recommend getting this version if you have, let's say, like the PlayStation or PS5 or a PC, because from what I saw in the Series S, those other versions run a lot better. And then even as well, like just recently they also updated the game on the Switch 2, and that version runs way better than I believe than this one would for what you're getting. Because on the Switch 2, I believe that runs at a locked 1080p 60 FPS, which does make sense for that platform, considering what it does. And you also do get the added benefit of portability. So again, good version, but if you do have it on other platforms, I would recommend getting it on those other platforms if you have the choice. Alrighty, now time to talk about Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. So, just to give the TLDR about this game, for those of you who are wondering what I thought of it, I thought that this was probably, or it is, the best version of Final Fantasy Tactics I can play at the moment. Square Enix did a really, really good job making sure that this version looks well, runs well, and plays well. And they also add in a lot more content than you think here. So just to give like a very, very brief synopsis of the story, because I don't really want to spoil too much, so that way people can go in completely blind, because I kind of feel like this is the kind of game where you don't really want to know too much about the story. You kind of want to go in blind. So pretty much the gist of the story is that you're playing as a character who named Ramza Bale, who's like the son of a noble household called the Bale family. And pretty much as the story goes along, he pretty much kind of uncovers like a plot that's been brewing, where it involves like a lot of like betrayal and a lot of like discovering truths and things like that. So in essence, the story is very similar to Game of Thrones, for those of you who have seen or read the books. And interesting enough, too, is that this game is also inspired by the same thing that did inspire Game of Thrones also, which is the War of the Roses. So a lot of that stuff from the War of the Roses is implemented in this, so you will see a lot of Game of Thrones in it just based on that. Now, just to set the story aside and kind of go into the gameplay, so as I'm sure many of you who may know, who've kind of maybe looked up like a very brief thing about this game is a tactical RPG. So with that, it has many of the same things I expected. Tactical RPG. Its movement is grid based. You do take it is also turn based, so you are taking all of your actions in essentially one turn, and choosing your abilities and attacks and things like that. But the thing that kind of makes Tactics a little bit more unique is how they implemented the job system in this game for Final Fantasy. So a lot of the jobs that you've more or less come to know and love from the Final Fantasy series is in this game. So you have your white mages, black mages, You have your ninjas, samurais, monks. Again, it did take a little bit of time to kind of fully understand what the character is talking about. So sometimes you would have to reread the line a few times. But other than that, I'd say that again, this version of the game is excellent. And then another thing I also wanted to touch on is the fact that a lot of people were kind of upset that this game doesn't include any World of Alliance content. And even though Square Enix did say that, that's actually kind of not true in a way. So this game does include War of Alliance content. Now, it really depends on what you classify as content, because this game includes all of the War of Alliance cutscenes that were in that version. So all of the cutscenes from War of Alliance are in this version, re-recorded with the new voice actors in this game. So all of the cutscenes I saw in the War of Alliance are in this version. The main thing that it is missing is all the classes and the extra missions that they included, so and characters. So you're not going to be getting Dark Knight in this version, unfortunately, or Balthier, which is one of my favorite characters in Final Fantasy series, unfortunately. But all of the cutscenes are still there, so it does still have some War of the Alliance content in there. Now again, it does really depend on what you classify as content. So if you classify things that you actually do get to do using gameplay as content, then yes, it doesn't include that. But the other things, such as the cutscenes, all of that is still here. So the main thing that it is just missing is the classes and the extra guest characters, minus Cloud, who is also in this game. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Final Fantasy Tactics. Again, it is a very excellent game. I do highly recommend it for those of you who are into tactical RPGs, or even those of you who aren't really into it and just want to play for the story. Again, this game does have an easy mode, so that way you can just go through it and see the story, because in my opinion, this is one of the best stories that has ever been done in Final Fantasy, period. So I think this is something that people who are fans to RPGs and even Final Fantasy should try and give it a shot. But other than that, that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over for what I've been playing. So for those of you who have been listening, thank you so much for listening. And I am going to try and put up more videos on this channel. I am going to try and ramp up and try and be more consistent. Hopefully, I'm able to do that more throughout the end of the year, going on to next year, try and be more consistent with this channel. So again, thank you so much. And if you guys did enjoy the video, please give it a like. And also, if you guys do want to see more things for in newer videos, I would also appreciate if you guys did subscribe. Again, it's not that they have to do, but it is greatly appreciated. Again, thank you so much, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time.